East Coast DNA, another Music Week bonus episode. We have Hearts of Kin, sibling band. One thing right off the bat, I'll get you guys to do a little introduction, but when I was reading about your bio, it said that you were reunited in Cape Breton. So I'm just going to make an assumption and let you guys fill in the blanks with your own little intro. Probably a COVID thing where you're back home with your family and you guys just started playing together because you were all isolated together. Is it a similar story or?
It's kind of similar. It actually goes back a little further than that. I lived in PEI for the last nearly decade and right before COVID and all that. And when COVID hit, we started doing all the virtual co-writes and all that stuff like everybody's doing and jamming online. But we decided just last year, my husband and I decided to sell our home in PEI and move on home so we could make a solid kick at the can here with the band stuff.
Yeah, so the pandemic actually was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back that made Danielle and her husband decide this, because it was so hard for them to even travel home to Cape Breton with the travel restrictions. It was like impossible. So they were just like, you know what, we're just moving back home, and they did. So. And I'm happy.
And you had stayed put in Cape Breton then yourself?
I haven't left Cape Breton. I was born in New Waterford, and I live in Sydney area now. So yeah, I was just here waiting for her.
And now you're all set up for Music Week. Then you're just sitting there waiting for everyone to come in around you and have a big party right in your front yard. Music
Week came to us. How cool is that? Yeah,
very cool.
Awesome.
So your album that you're celebrating now and promoting now is your debut album as well?
Yeah, so the album that we have out right now, it's actually a little 5-song EP that we released early. It was January 2022. So that one, we hired a local recording studio, LJL Studios, produced that. And, we're really proud of that one. We've been out, plugging that one and kind of celebrating the success of that. That was, our very first sound recording that we ever released. And now we've kind of got the bug to kind of take matters into our own hands. So we're already working on our first full-length album that we're going to be recording independently in the studio behind Sissy there. So
yes, I noticed that just before we start recording there. You got a little studio being built around you as you're sitting there.
Yeah, we got a little home studio here in the basement. It's pretty cool. We built it last year there, just around Christmas time, I guess, and we're plugging away this year. We're just about ready to roll out our first single, send that off to the pros for some mixing and mastering, all that special sauce they put on it. Mm-hmm. But we're pretty excited.
And did the EP, like the song Tiny House, the beginning of that, where you just go right into Tiny House? When I listen to the East Coast charts a lot because of the podcast especially. So where I listen to them over and over again, if there's songs that are on every single week, there's some that I will start to go through, but that's right at the beginning of that song. So I think my daughter's probably heard just Tiny House like 50,000 times in my apartment.
I love that.
Yeah, that's funny.
Because when I started researching it, I was like, I know this band. I said, but it seems like a name that I've known longer. And then when I was going through, I was like, "Oh, Tiny House, I know that one."
That's us, the Tiny House.
It must have been the repetition that makes it feel like it was a longer period of time or something.
There you go.
That's a good thing. We'll take it.
Yeah. Why not? Yeah, build your history that way.
That's right.
So that obviously had a lot of traction, like I just mentioned. That song itself did, and then the Throwaway World. When did you put that out as a single, or is that more of a recent?
That was actually Throwaway World was actually the very first single that we released off the Homegrown. And actually that one, I would say they both, Tiny House and Throwaway World, both got a lot of traction. But Throwaway World was when that one hit the number one spot on the East Coast 30. So we were really excited about that. And that's the one that we have, the only music video that we've produced. That's up on YouTube too. That's Throwaway World. And we had a lot of fun with that one. Throwaway World, we just celebrated her first birthday because she was out a year on the 3rd of September. So we were excited about that. Threw her a little birthday party.
And Did the traction of that EP then, like music video and a couple singles out there, like did that, you're still doing it yourself, but do you have other people collaborating with you now? Like it obviously get you some attention to afford you some opportunities.
Yeah, oh, for sure. We were so excited about the opportunities that started to kind of show up out of the woodwork, once we were finally able to get some music out into the world. And yeah, we've got big plans to collaborate with other music professionals. We already have a few people who had approached us, telling us that they were interested in kind of, putting their little stamp on it too. So yeah, we're going to take it one song at a time, depending on what we need. And we're having a lot of fun and learning a lot because we're still so new at this, right? So
And
much to learn.
you've earned yourself a showcasing opportunity at Music Week. You'll be
Yeah.
playing on the Saturday at Crown and Moose.
Yes.
Yep. At
11,
11:15.
11:15. There you go.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, we're so excited. So excited about that.
And do you know the other performers that are on that lineup that night? I know most of them seem to be grouped together in
Yes.
like-minded bands.
A lot of other female artists that night too were excited about that, but it should be a good time.
And what was for 2022 then? Besides the fact that you're going to be performing at Music Week and you have an album in the works, what was your biggest event up till this point?
I have a couple in mind, Sissy. There are a couple of like highlights that I would say. What do you think?
I'm thinking festivals. We had some good times at a few festivals this summer that really stood out to us. It was just such an eye-opening experience. Yeah. What would you say, Sissy?
I think there's three that stand out in my mind. It started out in April. We had our sold out EP release party downtown for Homegrown. So that was an amazing experience. It was a great way to celebrate the release of the EP. We got an invitation in July to play the Cavendish Beach Music Festival on the Emerging Artist stage. That was mind blowing. We've been attending that festival for years, and to get to get to attend it as a performer was incredible. And also, I would say, the festivals, Kemp Shore Music Festival, Acoustic Roots in Cape Breton, my gosh, like they're just such feel good gigs. Like, my gosh, we're still on a high from those shows. I think it was a wild summer.
Coming out of COVID restrictions, I know, well, I'm a little biased because I'm one of the people, like I went to everything this year. Like I saw more bands this year in 1 week than I did in a year, usually any previous year. So, I mean, it was just insane. So it was good, positive energy in most places. Like I found everyone was just, maybe some people weren't the safest at certain points, but everyone was having a good time anyway. And it was just exciting to get out. Yeah, the crowds were there. So that must have been nice for you guys. I'm assuming starting off, you must have been doing some smaller gigs with some pretty small crowds when there were still restrictions in place.
Oh,
which most people were.
There was one where we weren't allowed to sing together, but they still got us to come in to entertain, but we had to go up one at a time, which was fine, but just a little different, right?
Because of COVID restrictions and there's two of you.
Yeah.
Oh, wow,
yeah, it was weird. It was so weird, but we took the show, sure.
Yeah, I do remember, I guess, some bands where like the frontman would go out and do solo gigs. Yeah. I do remember some of that, but I never thought about like a duo. That seems so weird.
Yeah. It was
so
weird.
Did you play your Hearts of Kin songs but only sing one part? Like you guys harmonized and everything.
I think we stuck to covers when we did that, just because we're really not used to singing our originals without each other.
Well, it was cool because we played, like, I played covers that I never play with Danielle and vice versa. So it was a good variety for us, and it was a unique experience. But we were glad to get back together.
Yeah, I'm sure.
It's strange. Yeah, strange times.
And so, with that said, what is a good place for people to be looking out for you? Just your website if they want to catch you in a new performance, or keep track of your new album, or should they be following you on social media somewhere? Do you have a preference?
Yeah, I would say we do have an official website, heartsofakin.com. We usually post our live shows there, but our social media, like our Facebook and our Instagram, we're pretty active there. We tend to share our shows there, do up some little posters and whatnot. So yeah, definitely give us a like and share, follow us, see what we're up to.
Facebook, Instagram.
Yeah.
And the show, I guess people can, like, you're a folk country act. Is that fair to say? A lot of people don't like it when I throw the word country around. And you guys are even reacting a little bit to it too. It has a negative connotation for some reason.
I think it's almost a term that's been adapted kind of for us. Everybody kind of sees us in different genres, and I don't think we really put ourselves into any particular box, but we certainly have some country influences. So I wouldn't argue that for sure.
Yeah, agreed. And I mean, it's becoming very, very quickly in this region, especially the genres are. Everybody's so. I'm going to see it happen with you guys too. As I'm saying that now, folk country, and then we're like, I'm going to end up going to see it, and we're like, oh look, they're playing this, and they're with that person, and this sounds like that, and nobody sticks within their box properly.
No, that's right. And why should you?
No, it's all about having a good time. So that's what it's really all about.
Good music is good music.
Right.
And is there anything else that you would recommend to our listeners that they should be looking out for coming up to Music Week? Like I did see your one showcase, but is there anything that you're looking forward to going to see maybe?
Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, we will be all over Music Week. We are so excited to have Music Week being hosted in our hometown. And as you can imagine, we have a ton of friends who will also be showcasing as well. Mm-hmm. So we can't wait to take, and also this will be our first chance to take in the actual conference as well. So as you can imagine, as emerging artists, we're really hungry for the information. So we're really excited just to kind of take it in our very first Music Week, and why not in our hometown, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And now selfishly, a little bit of that question for myself. I have an itinerary that I'm working on myself, and I've not been to Sydney. So where outside of the standard Nova Scotia Music Week stuff, is there any like cool local restaurant or something I should check out? Or
my gosh.
Oh gosh. There is so many. Yeah, there's so many. I mean, downtown Sydney. Oh, first of all of the pubs and restaurants that are hosting they're pretty fantastic. Yeah. But there's definitely there's lots, for a small city, I'd say there's lots to choose from. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was looking at the schedule for the festival and all the performances and stuff. Like there's like 6 to 9 different little venues. Yeah. So I mean, it looks like there's a good diversity in the types of environment that you'll be in, besides just the types of music you're listening to. So it's really exciting for me. All I know is to get a picture with the big fiddle.
Yes. Oh yeah. That's a must.
Yeah. You have to do that. And maybe eat a flavor on the water that's right behind it.
Yeah. Yeah.
There you go. See, that's something I don't know.
Yeah.
There.
The big fiddle that withstood Hurricane Fiona.
Ooh, that's impressive. That's impressive.
That's a tough fiddle right there.
That's a tough fiddle. That's a tough one.
So will you be making, I suppose it's still a little too early for the new album. You don't have any songs that you'll be releasing yet, but do you have any like plans to support that through, like, will it be the winter when you're releasing new stuff?
I'd say all winter.
All winter. We're going to pick out one song at a time. So one single at a time. We almost have one ready to go here now, and we'll just be picking away through 2023. Hopefully get a few out. Maybe some videos.
This is the winter for people to save up a little bit of money for the spring, because you're probably like the 3rd or 4th artist that I know that's working on a project through the winter and touring again. Okay. I think that's another accident from the COVID lockdowns, is that we're accidentally coming up with a schedule of you heads down through the winter and then go have your fun in the summer.
Yeah.
So for bands, it makes sense to be writing and recording all winter.
Oh,
and in the summer, you have easier for you to be traveling logistically too. So, I mean, it definitely seems to be the pattern.
That's our plan for sure. And, we haven't finalized our final set for our precious 30-minute showcase for Music Week, but we'll definitely be highlighting a lot of those tunes that you're going to hear on the upcoming album. So
awesome.
Good place to check it out.
Yeah, no, that's one thing. I haven't been to many of the Music Week things historically, but last year my biggest thing was, it was nice to hear the new songs that were being developed And then through the year, like I had the recognition, like, oh yeah, that's so and so that I saw back then. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
that's
one of
fun.
the best things. So
Absolutely.
before Hearts of Kin, did you guys? You obviously could play, and as sisters, you obviously lived together at one point. Did you play back then?
We played kitchen, kind of just very low key kitchen parties.
Sure.
We've always sang together. But yeah, we kind of just did a casual kitchen party type of thing whenever we were together. And aside from that, I gigged a solo a little bit when I was in PEI, not a whole lot, maybe for a year or so before we moved home. But yeah, it's always better to sing with my sister.
And your solo, you would have been going by Danielle McDonald, or
Yeah.
Okay. Your
Yeah,
name sounded
Darcy.
familiar. I couldn't remember why, but your name sounded familiar. Maybe that's
Maybe, yeah. I've done a few solo gigs around here when our sister's not available, but for the most part, it's the two of us.
Oh, and for yourself, Shelley, then did you do any solo stuff like previous
Not
to
a
Hearts of Kin?
not a lick. I always say that it was Danielle, like we said, we learned how to play guitar and we've been singing since we were teenagers. And but when she started to kind of take it a little more seriously and kind of gig independently, then she was just like, we should be doing this together. And I was like, yeah, I do love the sounds of that. But it was tough because we actually formed the Hearts of Kin band when Danielle still lived in PEI. So when she would come home for vacation, holidays, Christmas, we would know a few weeks in advance. We'd book a show, right? And she'd come home, we would book the show, and we had so much fun. But it was so frustrating because it was so fun. We wanted to do it, but it's like we were so limited to whenever she was home. So once the pandemic hit, it got harder. And then she moved home and it got easier. And here we are. So, but I always say it was, Hearts of Kin was Danielle's brainchild. And I always make the joke. I'm just kind of, flying along on her coattails and having the time of my life. I love it.
It's a great name too. Like, I mean, we probably say that to a lot of the people that have been on the show, but it sounds like I'm kind of surprised it was available.
So
you know what?
Tell them,
we were too. We appreciate a good band name, right? And for us, it was just we wanted it to have meaning. Hearts of Kin, like we're both married with different last names, but we all will always have the same, kin heart. Actually, I think Kin Hearts we might have looked up first, which was taken. We were like, what are Hearts of Kin?
Yeah,
and that one was wide open, so we scooped it up.
That's a little known. So yeah, Kin Heart was choice number 1, and then Hearts of Kin was. But now I couldn't imagine it being.
I know I couldn't either.
It was meant to be.
Yeah, it sticks right in there. Like I said, I have complimented people on their band names before, but with Hearts of Kin, like I said, I instantly was like, that's a band that's been around for a while, I'm sure. And then I'm listening to it, and I'm like, no, they're saying they're new. Like,
we are. I think we're definitely new, but it is very brandish. I think because it's like you hear Hearts of Kin. And then as soon as you see a picture of us, oh, they're sisters, and okay, I get it, right? So it makes sense to people. So I think it's kind of relatable. So
well suited.
Yeah, we think so.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, I don't know if there's anything else that, like I said, you're still working on some new stuff. I expect in the spring you're going to have some dates and stuff to announce if anybody wants to see us. So feel free to reach out to us if you want us to plug any of that for you.
Thank you. Yeah, we will for sure. We appreciate that.
Yeah, so I think the Saturday 11:15. I have to see where I am that night, but for any of the listeners looking for something to do in the Sydney area in November, there will be a packed house, I'm sure.
We hope.
The whole weekend's going to be a little crazy, I'm sure, because last year we still had restrictions. This year it's a different story.
Right.
People are loving the fact that they can get together and enjoy music in it's amazing and long overdue.
It is.
One more thing I will ask from you guys as we're leaving this episode, we'll play out with one of your songs. Is there a particular song? What would you like us to play out to for the listeners to hear?
What do you think, Sissy? I'd say either.
Throwaway World?
Yeah. Throwaway World is our first music baby, and I think it's, I'd love to hear that song. And you know what? I always say to Sissy, I'm like, you know what? I never get sick of it. I never get sick of playing it. I do love that too.
Awesome. Well, for our listeners, you'll be listening to Throwaway World as we close out here today. And I'd like to thank Shelley and Danielle for joining us today here, Hearts of Kin. Be sure to check them out at Music Week and keep an eye on their website and their socials to new material and new dates. All right. Thanks again.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Darcy. Have a great day.
Have a great one.
Bye.
Yeah, people change like an old dogwood. I seen a boy break a heart just because he could. Daddy always said it's a throwaway world. Better listen up and listen good, little girl. Lock your heart up tight with the Sunday girls before you find it on the ground in a throwaway world. These days the dreams just come and go. Some don't outlive the song that's playing on the radio. Some people try to cover up the pain with a fancy car or a wedding ring. Daddy always said it's a throwaway world. Better listen up and listen good, little girl. Lock your heart up tight with your Sunday pearls before you find it on the ground in a throwaway world. Keep a grateful heart, won't stay around. One day we take when we're dead and gone. Daddy always said it's a throwaway world. Better listen up and listen good, little girl. Lock your heart up tight with your Sunday pearls before you find it on the ground in a throwaway. Daddy always said it's a throwaway world. Better listen up and listen good, little girl. Lock your heart up tight with your Sunday pearls before you find it on the ground in a throwaway. Daddy always said it's a throwaway world. Better listen up and listen good, little girl. Lock your heart up tight with your Sunday pearls before you find it on the ground in a throwaway world. Before you find it on the ground in a throwaway world. Daddy always said it's a